Hi and welcome to Add More Zest. My name's Rebecca and we've got another little side step on a finished project. So I thought I'd just show you the quilt that I finished for my sister-in-law. Now it may seem rather quick after the baby quilt, but most of the top of this was done before I finished the baby quilt. It was supposed to be the project in front. So this only needed some border trim adding really before I was able to assemble the actual quilt. So it will be a while before the next one. I have my sort of more complicated project on the go, but apart from that I have no other quilts on the go at the moment. I'm not sure when I'm going to start my next one. But yeah, I wanted to show you this before it goes to my sister-in-law. So she requested a quilt with the sort of mustard or apple green, and I decided to combine the two. I went to my local fabric shop and was able to pick up a mixture of some fat quarters and some strips of yardage. I didn't do full yards, it was more like half a metre, and got a few different fabrics that all sort of went together, and then got more of this background fabric. But this is very loosely based on a fabric pattern by Moda, which is a fabric company, called Big Sky. If I can find the pattern again, I will provide a link in the description down below, but it's very loosely built on that. I knew I wanted to do chevrons for something a little bit different, so each of these are 2 half square triangles, and then the orientation makes this into a chevron. Worked really well with the likes of this tree branch print and things. The actual pattern itself has some of the chevrons more meeting halfway, but I wanted them to be alternate, so I sort of changed that. Sizing might have changed a little bit. I think my chevrons are a little bit bigger, all that sort of stuff. But I got most of the quilt top all done, and then realised that I actually needed a bit more of this fabric just to do just some sashing down the edge so that the chevrons have a break before they hit the edge. I also needed to pick a backing fabric for it, so I chose this gorgeous leaf green one. I feel like I should get this to be a backing for another quilt because I think it's turned out beautiful. And I got the quilt top assembled, and then actually took quite a bit of time while finishing off the baby quilt to decide how to quilt this. But I decided to go for diamonds to sort of follow the chevron pattern, but not try and go exactly down the chevron pattern, because I can't say that all of my lines line up exactly. It's handmade after all. So I decided to go pretty much down the middle. I marked everything with a fabric pen, which, if you've seen my tour of how I store my fabric space, you will have seen this one propped on the chair pre-wash, where it still had blue lines all over the front where I'd marked it up. But this has been washed, so it is nice and fluffy, and it's been dried out on the line, which is a lovely way to do it. It's the first time I've been able to dry a quilt that way. And yeah, I'm really liking it. I did wonder whether I needed to go a bit smaller and do maybe a second line, but as I say, I can't say that my lines match up exactly between like this one and this one. And yeah, I think actually sticking with the bigger ones has still made it a bit more of a flexible quilt, a bit more flexible than stiff because of the size. So the pattern itself is quite hidden-ish on the background. Of course you can see it depending on how the light or my camera catches it, but it is a little bit more prominent, especially on the likes of this solid brown here. You can definitely see it a bit more, but of course the rest of the diamond goes into the background. Decided to do a border which is actually one of the patterns in the chevron. It matched nicely with the background, and yeah, I've hand stitched all this down. It's actually become my favourite part, is hand stitching the binding down over the course of 2 or 3 evenings. And yeah, the quilt goes further down, so we have 3 different mustard-y colour fabrics. We have 2 apple green. Yes, so we have the dotty and the plain, and then we have 2 browns, the chevron and the solid, and then we have a couple of lighter ones with this sort of swirl pattern and the trees. And yeah, I'm very, very happy with how it turns out. I'm hoping my sister-in-law will enjoy it too. But the finished size of this one is 50 inches by 68 inches ish. So a perfect sort of lap size quilt. You can wrap it round you, or it's actually probably long enough to give you a full length as well. And yeah, very happy with how straight my lines turned out on my straight line quilting. So I'll probably do a bit more straight line quilting in the first instance. Now I'm not too wonky with it, but maybe actually marking it up first is definitely my best option. So yeah, fabrics wise, I'm not actually sure what brand. It's like not all one particular brand for the fabrics themselves. Our fabric shop, occasionally they'll have things by brand, like when they come in, or by collection, but more often than not they store things by colour. So I just end up going through loads of different colours. They're really helpful at finding like background fabrics that will go nicely, suggesting, you know, back covering fabrics, bringing suggestions over, and even saying when they don't like them when they see them together. So the fabric shop themselves are absolutely amazing. And I do have a few that I want to work through, fabric that I already have, but I kind of can't wait until I get to the point where I can just go and just pick fabric purely for a project again, because I love it. But yeah, that is the finished chevron quilt for my sister-in-law. So I'll be sure to get that to her, though the weather is really, really nice this week. So I don't think she's necessarily going to have a need for a quilt at the moment, but I'm sure it'll keep her warm when our UK winter comes in, that's for sure. If you have any questions, do drop them down below. I tend to just do sort of showcasing my finished projects for quilting, more for those that like a nosy, rather than actually doing content on quilting exclusively, because I just don't know enough. It is coming up to a year of me quilting, but it's not quite there yet. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll speak to you all again soon.